That's a wolf.
Dude,
So,
that was sick!
all right, I gotta talk.
Oh, wait.
All right.
What's up, Joe fans? In today's episode, we're breaking down the latest bombshells from the G.I. Joe Classified series. We've got fresh insider info, a mysterious new figure to dissect, and new updates from the G.I. Joe team at Hasbro. You'll want to stick around till the end as we dive into our theory on the hunt for the M.A.S.S device and what it really means. We're going to cut through the noise, shut down some of the biggest rumors, and reveal everything that we've pieced together. By the time we're done, you'll be nodding along with our take. Let's get into it. Let's kick things off with a quick G.I. Joe recap of Hasbro PulseCon 2024. This year's panel gave us 5 new figure reveals, 1 name reveal, and 2 delayed digital renders. But let's be real, it didn't exactly blow fans away. The general vibe? It was a bit of a mess. We ran a poll asking G.I. Joe fans how they felt about this year's event. And well, the results speak for themselves. 57% said that it was just okay, 37% found it disappointing, and only 6% thought it was good. Everyone seemed to agree that the figures were cool, but the execution? Yikes. Hasbro spent way too much time hyping up projects like the Wrath of Cobra video game, which they were literally playing so loudly that B-Mac, the host of the panel, had to tell them multiple times to pipe down.
Dude,
So,
that was sick!
all right, I gotta talk.
Oh, wait.
All right. So,
As for the updates, it was mostly old news. And then, it got worse. They completely skipped the digital render reveals, the one part that fans were actually looking forward to. Here's how it all went down.
all right. So, we have about a minute left before they're gonna kick us out of here. So we're gonna do some Q&A quick. I have this little fancy iPad in front of me. Oh, render reveals. I think we skipped them.
You can actually see the moment when Tony from the G.I. Joe team realizes they're about to skip the renders. The panicked look on his face is priceless when B-Mac says they've got just 1 more minute left, and still, no render reveals. Tony tells Lenny then tries to tell B-Mac, but B-Mac's like, yeah, we can't go back.
We have about a minute left before they're gonna kick us out of here. So we're gonna do some Q&A quick. I have this little fancy iPad in front of me. Oh, render reveals. I think we skipped them.
I think we should have skipped them.
Turns out, they couldn't adjust their slides or something. It's not clear to us how Hasbro is producing these events or what software they're using, but in my experience directing and producing live events, that's definitely not a tech problem. Someone just dropped the ball. Now, mistakes do happen, especially during a live production, but any live event producer should be prepared with backup plans in the event that something is skipped, overlooked, or any other number of issues. Ultimately, there were just too many distractions for this team to stay on script. Hopefully the next one goes smoother. In the end, Hasbro posted the renders on their social media, but the hype, gone. And instead of focusing on what fans cared the most about, they wasted time on a Q&A segment full of recycled questions that had already been answered many times in the past. So that was another unfortunate fail here. But don't worry, we've got you covered. Today we're breaking down those 2 render reveals in all their glory and telling you everything you need to know. Keep watching. We'll get to that in a moment. Up next, we're going to take care of some housekeeping for G.I. Joe Classified. Looking ahead, there's a busy fall for G.I. Joe fans. Mark these dates on your calendars. Hasbro's 10/27 event will happen on October 27th. The MCM Comic-Con in London will take place from October 25th to the 27th, and the MCM Comic-Con in Birmingham, England will take place on November 29th. We're also expecting another G.I. Joe fan stream in either November or December. Next, let's talk about release dates. Let's be real, release dates can be more of a suggestion than a rule. The initial drop for the latest wave featuring Xandar, Leatherneck, and the rest of the crew was slated for October 2025. But here's the good news. These figures are actually coming way sooner. Expect that release date to shift to January 2025, and chances are, you might even have them in hand even earlier. Now some of you might be asking, why are we pre-ordering stuff a year in advance? Well, you're not. It's just a heads up. In fact, here in year 5 of the G.I. Joe Classified series, unless you're hunting exclusives, pre-ordering figures isn't really that necessary anymore. Most figures are still available on release day, and better yet, they often go on sale not long after. The days of scrambling for a pre-order at full price are mostly behind us, aside from some Hasbro Pulse exclusives. Worried about sellouts? Don't be. It's rare for mainline figures to sell out or fly off the shelves these days. And if one does, like the first Cobra eel, Hasbro's been quick to restock through their retro cardback line. Bottom line, pre-order stress for mainline waves is a thing from the past, outside of the odd troop builder, and we already know about that. Next, let's take a closer look at the newest digital renders. First up is Law & Order. The military police officer, Law, is using the Outback body mold, which is one of the best figure molds in all of Classified. This is great news for anyone who's excited to get Law & Order. For accessories, Law includes everything that you would expect him to come with: an Uzi, a nightstick, a knife, a pistol, handcuffs, a removable black watch, a flashlight on his belt, a leg holster for his Uzi, his signature removable white MP helmet, and 4 pairs of hands. On his vest, there's a lot of intricate sculpting. His police badge, a holster for his pistol, a CB radio attached to a hand microphone on his shoulder. And on his belt, this is something new, he has a loop for his nightstick to be holstered on his right hip. This is big news. Both versions of Shockwave so far were missing a nightstick holder, so it's great to see that Law has been given one. Meanwhile, the German Shepherd Order has a brand new sculpt. He has 2 head sculpts, one is his good boy look, the other one, he's an attack dog. He also has a head cover with black goggles, and the holes allow this to fit snugly over his ears. This figure and pet set should have a price point of $44.99 US. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Next, over to Heavy Duty. This is a deluxe figure. It comes with 2 head sculpts, and the big thing that everyone's talking about is Heavy Duty's mech rocket launcher. This fits over top of the figure. He has a removable headset and a laser eyesight which attaches to the headset for when Heavy Duty is in battle mode. He also comes with 2 knives, a gold necklace with a bull pendant, and this is significant because Heavy Duty's birthplace is in Chicago, Illinois. So this bull pendant is a direct reference to the Chicago Bulls basketball team, as it looks very similar to the Bulls logo. I'm digging this new yellow stopwatch deco on Heavy Duty's watch. His shirt sleeves have been torn off and the material looks torn. It's nice to see this kind of detail from the original included with the classified version. I was curious if we'd get that or just straight cutoffs. So this kind of detail is very appreciated. Heavy Duty has a new hairstyle with cut lines and a fade. And he has diamond stud earrings. His hat is sculpted onto his head, and he has 2 sets of hands. As for the missile launcher itself, it has 2 Gatling guns on top, and then 2 more further down, attached to the sides. From what we understand, these missiles here will fit into the launcher both with and without the blast effects parts. The control joysticks have red buttons, which contrast well with the dark green of the launcher. The front loader piece on this swivels up so that Heavy Duty can be put in place. The swivel is at the very top of the launcher. Meanwhile, the cover on the front loader shows battle damage with scrapes of missing paint from both bullets and blasts. There appears to be some padding underneath the shoulder parts of the front loader, and there are ammo boxes underneath which are intended to feed into the Gatling guns. At the bottom are rocket launchers with 4 ports on each side. They're called the M202 Quad Burst. We believe these are detachable and can be used by Heavy Duty without the rest of the launcher, just like a rocket launcher. That's going to make Heavy Duty even more of an in-demand figure. The deluxe price point of this should be $34.99 US. Before we move on, drop your thoughts and comments below. We definitely want to hear from you. Next, over to Xandar. This is a great rendition of this legendary Dreadnought. He has gold demon skulls on his shoulder pads. His face paint goes down the neck as well for continuity. If we look closer, he has a gnarly looking scar which stretches halfway across his neck. This guy's been through some nasty battles. His neck scarf is torn fabric from Zorana's shirt, so again, we're getting more continuity here between the figures and the storylines. He has a brand new quilted fabric backpack with harpoon arrows stored on each side. In the background of his product render, at the Dreadnought's gas station hangout, there are cans of grape soda on the ground, a Cold Slither poster on the window, Road Pig's riot shield, Zorana's buzzsaw machine gun, and a motorcycle. A subtle touch here is the closed-circuit security camera installed outside the Dreadnought's hangout. This blue and black motorcycle has been shown previously in product render images for other Dreadnoughts, so this is really nothing new. It's just a decoration in the background. We will likely get a Dreadnought motorcycle at some point in the future, but not everything included in the background of product renders has a hidden meaning or is a clue about an upcoming vehicle. Let's take a moment to recall that the product render images like this are not diorama images. They're designed and created by an art department at Hasbro, whereas the diorama images are photographs with backgrounds which have been built by Hasbro's photographers. So there is a difference here as they come from two different departments. Night Force Shockwave and the Night Pursuit Cycle were supposed to have a city background image, but Lenny from the G.I. Joe team at Hasbro said they didn't have enough budget left to create that, so they used a jungle image that they already had on file instead. So that's where these product render images come from. When we have actual information that a Dreadnought motorcycle is on the way, we'll let you know. Overall, Xandar looks outstanding, and he was definitely worth the wait. Next, over to Dial Tone. In the images, Dial Tone is using his tech equipment to arrange an airstrike against Cobra. In the distance, there's a big explosion. Then Dial Tone and Leatherneck are investigating and securing the scene around a Cobra mothership crash site. In the newest wave of figures, there are some images set in the rain. The realism of Hasbro's photography is what collectors loved so much about the Classified series. Dial Tone looks even better when we see him interacting with his backpack and weapons. If you follow Viper Island, then you already had a heads up about how Dial Tone's cell phone can be paired with his submachine gun, how there's a brand new and hidden laptop on the back of his backpack which folds down, and how he has a microphone headset sculpted into his left ear. Make sure you're subscribed to Viper Island so you don't miss out on any of the intel and insight that we bring to our viewers. Next, let's take a look at Leatherneck. Storyline-wise, a Cobra mothership has crashed, and a Joe team including Leatherneck and Dial Tone are investigating the scene. Nearby, Saw Vipers are on a warpath. Leatherneck is seen here engaging in direct battle with a Saw Viper who's using his chainsaw to try and cut through Leatherneck's M16. This version of Leatherneck is very loyal to the original. He didn't need a pair of shooting glasses, but it is appreciated. Expect to see these glasses reused with several other upcoming figures. Leatherneck is a pretty basic looking figure overall, as he doesn't have a lot of gear, but he also doesn't need a lot of gear. This is what fans expected, and there's really no disappointment here with Leatherneck. Next, over to Starduster. This is the 2024 PulseCon exclusive. Starduster's images are meant to show him in the midst of filming a commercial for his cereal. The cereal box is a flat piece of paperboard which you have to punch out of the interior packaging. From there, you then have to fold it and assemble the box. The cereal box has a crossword puzzle on the back, something that was very common back in the 80s with North American cereals targeted at kids. On the side of the box, there's even a section for nutritional facts and ingredients. Pretty cool. Starduster has 2 helmets, a steel core flight helmet, and a combat helmet. He has 3 pairs of hands, a jetpack, and weapons recycled from other figures. This was a fun way to display a convention exclusive. However, there's no specialty packaging here for Starduster, which breaks from the norm of Hasbro giving all convention exclusives their own premium packaging. Starduster just comes in regular packaging. Overall, many collectors are excited at the opportunity to add a 1980s mail-away exclusive character to their collection. So if you're one of the fans who's pumped for Starduster, that's great. For others, once the novelty of this being an exclusive wears off, I suspect many collectors will see Starduster as just another figure and nothing all that special. However you feel about Starduster, let us know in the comments. While Starduster is not a polarizing figure, it seems clear that there is a divide amongst collectors just in terms of excitement. Next, over to Saw Viper. This new version is a bulky, balanced, and beefed up armor look. 90% of Saw Viper's parts are brand new. We reported this directly from the sculptor of the figure itself. Most of the armor is removable, which will give him a more streamlined look. On the ground in Saw Viper's product render image is Doc's helmet. This is a callback to the comics, and we'll get to that more in a bit. As we first told you about months ago, Saw Viper's helmet is removable, and he has a headset molded onto his head sculpt. This is the first figure to feature this. Sure enough, it's even featured on the packaging on the back of the box. Keep watching Viper Island for fresh new insight direct from the source just like this. In the background of Leatherneck's images, there's a Saw Viper standing near someone else. The image is blurry because it's off in the distance. This person appears to be wearing a gray and black uniform and a helmet. Now it could be a Cobra Stinger driver, although that really doesn't make much sense, and I think we can all agree on that. It could also be the Ferret Scout, although this person looks far too big and too tall to be a Ferret Scout. It might even be Firefly, although looking back at the past, the Joe team doesn't tend to mix figures from the past into current diorama images. The only exception to this over the past few years has been Roadblock appearing with the once-a-man Cobra Commander, and that was understandable as it was solely for the reference to the movie scenes with those 2 characters. But if it's not the Cobra Stinger driver, then a very real possibility is Overkill. He here's why. Robert Skelton, the notorious and infamous Saw Viper who once killed several Joes, was later transformed into Overkill by Serpentor. Skelton was given a darker, more menacing edge as Overkill. In the storyline, Overkill continued to wear a black modification of his Saw Viper uniform, so spotting a figure in a gray and black uniform near a Saw Viper in the background of Leatherneck's image could be a hint at Overkill. And really, it makes the most sense. He's essentially the ultimate Saw Viper, and thanks to Serpentor, he would essentially become a leader for the Saw Vipers. This connection is strong as the uniform color and association with the Saw Viper align with his post-transformation look. What cements Overkill as a possible classified series figure is his chilling character arc. After surviving Serpentor's experiments, his body was subjected to cybernetic augmentations. This would make for a visually stunning figure showcasing his twisted half-cyborg form. From a storyline perspective, Overkill fits perfectly into the classified series. His connection to the Saw Vipers, his tragic rise from soldier to cyborg assassin, and the iconic black and gray uniform all point toward a figure that fans would want to see brought to life. Overkill's grim, tech-enhanced design would not only make him a fan-favorite villain, but also a visually dynamic addition to this line. If you're enjoying this, hit the like button and make sure you're subscribed. Next, let's talk about the hunt for the M.A.S.S device. During the PulseCon panel, the Hasbro team revealed only one new name for an upcoming product: the hunt for the M.A.S.S device. Some are already speculating that this might be a Build-A-Figure or a Build-A-Play set offering. We can rule out both of those. In the past, Lenny from the G.I.JOE team said that Build-A-Figure waves are not something they've considered so far, and it's not something he sees them doing. Hasbro is on the record saying that they feel like their figures are good enough that they don't need to include further incentives like a Build-A-Figure option. Meanwhile, others have wondered if the M.A.S.S device might be the next G.I.JOE HasLab project. Let's quickly rule this out as well. The M.A.S.S device has no place in the classified series at this time. It's gigantic, serves no real purpose, and doesn't add anything of value to the line, especially with so many popular in-demand figures and vehicles and playsets waiting to be made. Hasbro is focused on vehicles right now for the G.I.JOE classified series, and they've made it clear that shelf size is a big deal to them. The real estate that a M.A.S.S device would require is simply too big for Hasbro to sign off on right now. So no, the M.A.S.S device is not the next G.I.JOE HasLab. Others have suggested to us that it might be a brand new theme line. While that's possible, it seems very unlikely at this point of the line with so many actual sub-teams which have not been touched so far. Once again, Lenny from the G.I.JOE team has said in the past that he wants to get to as many sub-teams as possible. We believe that Hasbro has no interest in taking a wild detour by making the hunt for the M.A.S.S device a new retail theme for either Target or Walmart. While a M.A.S.S device theme might interest some, it would make for a very weak lineup. There's no actual theme to it, and that's a problem in terms of getting a retail store to buy into it. After all, retail theme lines don't just happen. The retail stores out there do have a say in what they're going to put on their shelves when it comes to theme line exclusives. They want products which are specific to them and which have a high level of interest to bring new customers into their stores. Calling an episode arc from a 40-year-old TV show a theme is a very big stretch. Hasbro is not going to start a new theme line in year 5 of Classified with some random characters who appeared in a few episodes of the animated series 40 years ago. And while some collectors might want the blue and yellow Baroness who appeared in the series, Hasbro doesn't need to waste several years of a retail theme line on characters who can be released normally in either the main line or the retro line. There's no logic whatsoever to the hunt for M.A.S.S device being the next theme line. Before we move on, drop your thoughts and comments below. We definitely want to hear from you. Now we're going to reveal our theory for the hunt for the M.A.S.S device. One thing we know will happen more in the future is themed multi-packs similar to the Steel Core vs. Twilight Guard 2-pack. It's something they're excited about, and they're looking for more opportunities to create themed multi-packs. Look no further than the themed storylines between Chuckles and the Crimson Strike team, which was a soft launch of a narrative driven by just the packaging and a multi-pack. In terms of themes, the hunt for the M.A.S.S device makes the most sense as a title for a multi-pack. We propose that the hunt for the M.A.S.S device is a figure and pet set featuring radioactive Snake Eyes, Timber, and a large polar bear. Don't expect the polar bear to be as large as the one in the animated series. Here's what we've learned, which adds some more smoke to our theory. During the 2024 San Diego Comic-Con, the Joe team teased this image of what appears to be bear paws. We've also been told that there's a new Snake Eyes on the way. As you may recall, we speculated recently about a new Snake Eyes, and that was no coincidence. We also reported this past summer that the Hasbro team was working on a new figure and pet set. And now we have the name reveal of the Hunt for the M.A.S.S device. So all of this supports our theory of a radioactive Snake Eyes, Timber, and Polar Bear multi-pack titled The Hunt for the M.A.S.S device. That is our theory for now. One possible option for Hasbro is to use glow-in-the-dark paint on Snake Eyes, similar to the mole rats. This would mimic the radiation glow that Snake Eyes had while he was carrying the radioactive canister in the cartoon. Timber in the cartoon series did look similar to the Alpha Commando's Timber. That was released in 2021. Hasbro could give Timber a fresh coat of paint and make him look even closer to how he appeared in the M.A.S.S device 5-part miniseries. A straight re-release of the same Timber without any change would be a mistake, so we expect a slightly different looking Timber if he's included here at all. Snake Eyes would be a redeco of the retro Snake Eyes with purple goggles, a navy blue jumpsuit, purple armbands and leg pouches, and black secondary gear. This set would be a play on nostalgia, which has been key for the Classified series so far. But let's turn this over to you. Do you think radioactive Snake Eyes, Timber, and a polar bear will be the Hunt for the M.A.S.S device? And would you want to get this type of multi-pack? Or do you think the Hunt for the M.A.S.S device is something different? Whatever your thoughts are, sound off in the comments below. And there you have it. You've made it to the end of this episode, and we really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. And we would love it even more if you take just 1 second of your time. Make sure that down below you are subscribed to the channel. We ask that you do, because that guarantees that we definitely get to see you back here again next time. Thanks for tuning into Viper Island, your one-stop shop for all things G.I. Joe. When there's relevant news, we'll be here to discuss all of it, together with you. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting, have a great day, and yo Joe!